In this video, we are going to learn about the safe navigation operator. Now, it sounds complicated and it is actually very simple. So the first change that we've made to the source code is we've added this children property. Now you can see this passenger has a child property of null. This passenger, however, has an array of children. Now we're yet to implement an interface of a child, which has a name and an age. So we'll show you how to do this momentarily. And as we scroll down, we have children null, and we also have another child in this array and null in the last one. So what we can do is simply scroll up to the top. And what we can do is create a new interface. So what we're going to do is call this one child. So the child is going to have a name, which is going to be a string, and then it's also going to have an age, which is going to be a number. Now what we can do, instead of assigning this interface somewhere in here, is we can actually add it to our passenger interface. So what we can do is add a new line called children, and we can make this entirely optional. And what we can do is then implement this child interface in a passenger. Now, because it's an array, we need to then declare that it's going to be an array of child objects. Now, instead of making it optional, what we're going to do is just do the same as above, and we're going to make it or null. So all of the passengers below will then comply to the interface. So we have two or nulls here, because we're assuming our API response is going to send back a property, whether it's populated with the objects or not. So in our passenger array, if they comply to the interface, then the children must be of the type child, and it must be an array, otherwise it can just be null. Now we're doing this because we're going to demonstrate the safe navigation operator. Now inside of here, if the child doesn't exist, we can use the safe navigation operator to essentially make sure that Angular doesn't throw an error while it's trying to parse the template. So because we're inside our ng4, we have access to this passenger. And now the passengers have a .children property. Now this is an array. So we don't want to display the names or the ages of the children. However, we want to display the length of the children. So when we save this and actually go to the browser, we'll see something interesting. So you can see here that we've got a few items rendered and then two red dots. So something has clearly gone wrong. So if we open up the Chrome DevTools, it says cannot read property length of null. This is because that particular passenger does not have a child, therefore the null property does not have a length. So this is where the safe navigation operator comes into play. Now where it's erroring is on this length. Now if we remove this, this will simply display the actual objects in the DOM, otherwise it will display the word null. So because we want to use the length, we can use the safe navigation operator to basically say, if this exists, then continue to the next step. And all we need to do here is actually put a question mark, and that's all we need to do. So this basically will evaluate this expression here. It will then check if it's available using the safe navigation, and then continue with the expression. So when we go back to the browser, we'll actually see a list of children or no children. So you can see that children 2, children has nothing next to it, children has nothing next to it, and our fourth passenger has children 1, and the fifth one is empty. So what we can do, because we can use an Angular expression, this is just like JavaScript, we can use the OR operator, and we can just say 0. So if it doesn't have the length, we can just say 0. And when we go back to the browser, you can see children 0, 2, 0, 1, and 0. Now, if this passenger had some information updated and it actually had an item pushed into the children array, this would then update to reflect the bindings. So as soon as Angular makes the data change, we can see this state change. So using the safe navigation operator allows us to essentially safety check our object properties before they're parsed. So if the children.length exists, then it will evaluate the expression like we see here with 2. Otherwise, it will just continue to our OR statement. Now you don't have to use an OR statement, but it fits in nicely with this demo where we have children 0, 2, 3, 0, 1, 0. The safe navigation operator also comes in handy when we're passing data down into components, which we'll come on to soon. because at times our data won't be statically coded, so we'll be making asynchronous data requests, and we can use the safe navigation operator as that request is happening to actually check if the property is available or not. When the property becomes available, Angular will then continue evaluating the expression.